Most disasters do not begin with screaming. They begin with something small, a drawing, a measurement, a detail someone thinks will not matter. But inside one hotel in Kansas City, one tiny design change turned a normal night into one of the deadliest structural failures in American history. People were dancing, music was playing, families were watching from the walkways above, and then the ceiling fell. This is the story of the Hyatt Regency Walkway collapse and the tiny change that made it happen. It was July 17, 1981. The Hyatt Regency Hotel in Kansas City was full of people. The hotel was new, modern, expensive, beautiful, and at the center of it was a huge open atrium, several floors high, glass, steel, balconies, and suspended walkways crossing above the lobby. Those walkways were one of the hotel's main attractions. They made the space feel grand. Guests could stand above the lobby, look down at the crowd, and watch everything happening below. That night, the hotel was hosting a dance, a tea dance. Hundreds of people were inside the atrium. Some were dancing on the floor, some were standing around the edges, and some were watching from the walkways above. It looked like a normal Friday night. No one saw danger. No one looked up and thought the walkways might fall. Because why would they? This was a luxury hotel. The building was open to the public. The walkways were supposed to hold people. They were supposed to be safe, but hidden above everyone's heads. There was a problem, and it started long before that night. When the hotel was being built, the walkways had to be suspended from the ceiling. The original design used long steel rods. Those rods would hang down from above, pass through one walkway, then continue down to support another walkway below it. Simple idea, one continuous support system. But during construction, someone changed the design. Instead of one long rod passing through both walkways, they used two shorter rods. One rod held the upper walkway, and another rod hung from the upper walkway to hold the lower one. At first, that might sound like a small change. Cleaner, easier to build, maybe more practical, but that one change did something dangerous. It doubled the load on a critical connection. The upper walkway was no longer only holding itself, it was also helping hold the walkway below it. That meant one connection was carrying far more weight than it should have. And the people inside the hotel had no idea. They were not engineers. They were not reading drawings. They were not thinking about steel rods, nuts, washers, or load paths. They were dancing, laughing, talking, living a normal night. But above them, the structure was already carrying a mistake. And mistakes like that do not always fail immediately. Sometimes they wait. They sit hidden inside a building. They survive inspections. They survive opening day. They survive months of normal use. Until one night, when enough weight is in the wrong place, and the mistake finally shows itself. That night, people filled the walkways. The fourth floor walkway was crowded. The second floor walkway was below it, and beneath both of them, the lobby was packed. For a moment, everything was normal. Music, voices, footsteps. Then people heard a sound. A sharp crack, a metallic snap. Something above them gave way, and in seconds, the fourth floor walkway dropped. It crashed down onto the second floor walkway. Then both walkways fell together onto the crowded atrium floor below. There was no time to run, no time to understand, no time to react. People who had been dancing seconds earlier were suddenly buried under steel, concrete, and glass. The beautiful atrium became a disaster zone. The music stopped, the lights stayed on, but everything else changed. People screamed, dust filled the air, the walkways were gone, and the hotel lobby was covered in wreckage. Rescuers arrived quickly, but the scene was almost impossible to process. This was not a building fire, not a storm, not an explosion. It was a hotel lobby. a place where people had come to dance, and now the rescuers had to search through twisted metal, broken concrete, and collapsed walkways inside a building that had looked safe minutes before. The disaster killed 114 people. More than 200 were injured. It became one of the deadliest structural collapses in United States history. And the worst part was this: it was not some mystery no one could explain. Investigators found the problem. They studied the drawings. They looked at the connections. They followed the load. And the truth became clear. The walkways had not collapsed because of one wild accident. They collapsed because the structure could not handle the load created by that design change. One connection, one change detail, one decision that looked small on paper. And 114 people never went home. That is what makes this story so disturbing. Because a disaster like this does not feel dramatic at first. It does not begin with a villain. It does not begin with someone trying to hurt people. It begins in offices, on drawings, in conversations, with people assuming someone else checked it, someone else approved it, someone else caught the problem. But sometimes everyone is moving fast. The builder wants something easier to construct. The engineer thinks the detail is understood. The drawings move forward. The hotel opens. People walk in, and the mistake is still there, silent, waiting. That is the terrifying part. The people inside the hotel trusted the building. They trusted the floor. They trusted the ceiling. They trusted the walkways above them, because that is what we all do. Every day, we walk into buildings and assume the math is right. We cross bridges and assume the bolts are strong enough. We stand under balconies and never think about the weight, because we cannot check everything ourselves. We trust the people who built it, and most of the time, that trust is deserved. But when a tiny detail is missed, the consequences can be massive. After the collapse, the Hyatt disaster changed how engineers thought about responsibility. It became a warning taught for decades. Not because the structure was strange, not because the building was impossible, but because the failure was so clear. A small change in design created a huge change in load, and no one stopped it in time. That is the line. The line between a normal hotel walkway and a deadly collapse. The line between a simple construction change and a disaster no one could undo. The Hyatt Regency was supposed to be a place of music, lights, and celebration, but on that night, one tiny change turned it into a warning that in the real world, small details are not always small. Sometimes one line on a drawing can decide whether people live or die. And that is why this story belongs in The Line Files. Subscribe for more true stories drawn in simple lines.